Man, we're ready for this shit, aren't we? Look at them shorts, baby! Huh? Oh, I got it! It's fucking fight week, baby! It's fight week! Welcome to the DynamiteGizmo podcast, everyone. Episode 247? 240 something? What? I don't know. It doesn't matter, but it's UFC 314 this Saturday. 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I don't know what it is for the rest of y'all, but it's 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for me. And today's episode is going to be everything and all things UFC 314. We're going to cover it all, no matter what. Because I'm coming in hot, baby. There is unbelievably too much to talk about for this card. I can't even get into it all because there's so much shit to talk about. I've had to compress it down to just the shit that I want to talk about. Dude, there's so much to say. There's too much to say. There's too much to say, Grandpa. And then at the very end of this video, we're going to get into my fight predictions with my own fight prediction sheet that I create for every main number event. And I make these fight prediction sheets available for anyone on the internet to download and to use. Now, you might be saying, what the fuck is a fight prediction sheet? What is a fight prediction sheet? Well, it's kind of self-explanatory when you listen to the name of it. It's a sheet that allows you to predict which fights you would like to pick or the winners of the fights that you would like to pick. Now, if you take a look at the screen to your left, my right, there it is. It's not that funny, dude. Okay? I'm sure you've seen shit like this on the internet, but you've not seen anything this crisp, this clean, this beautiful. This is the shit that you need. And I will make this available by Friday. By this Friday, it will be available for everybody. The reason why I wait until Friday is because fights change. People get injured, they leave the card, or sometimes fights get moved around. And obviously the betting odds changed right up until the point where they're actually fighting, and I think they even change while they're fighting. So I like to wait until at least Friday before I make it available. Otherwise, if I make it available now, shit is going to change. Hopefully it doesn't, because I like the way it is right now, but if shit changes, you know how the fucking drill goes. Let's just take a look at it. So it's got the early prelims, and main card, okay? If we take a little quick zoom in here, let's just zoom in on Thug Nasty and Lord Silva, shall we? All right, so look what we got. You got the number in which the fight is happening. So this is the 9th fight of the night. It's a featherweight bout, Mitchell versus Silva. It's got their betting odds. It's got their nicknames, their fight record on the side, the name of the country they're from, their ranking, and a flag. Now, these here, vote and win, you check off vote if you want Bryce to win, and if he wins, you check off win, and vice versa. Yada, yada. If it's a draw, you check it off here. It's got everything you need to make fight predictions. I like to use these with other people. You can go download this. The link is in the description to the Google Drive where you can download this, print off 1,000 copies, invite 1,000 friends over, and give the sheets to everybody. I made these sheets simple and easy to use so that even people who don't give a shit or know anything about UFC can still have fun with these. And you can utilize these to make bets or just have fucking fun, dude. It doesn't matter. But today we're going to talk about Bryce Mitchell and John Silva to start things off. Then we're going to move into Diego Lopes and Alexander Volkanovski fighting for the vacant featherweight title. And then finally, to end things off, before we get into my fight predictions, if we have time, we'll touch on Chandler and Pimblett and Rodriguez and Pitbull. All right? But that's a lot of shit to cover because I've got so much to talk, so we got to jump into this right fucking now, baby. Okay? Now, I want to start off by talking about Bryce Mitchell and John Silva. Why? Uh-oh, look what I did. Whoopsies, I forgot my little logo. That's fucking stupid of you, dude. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, we're gonna start off with Bryce Mitchell and John Silva because this is the fight that I am most excited about. This, for me, is the most anticipated fight of the night. All right? But mind you, this whole fucking card is a banger. At least the main card. Okay? Prelims and early prelims, take it or leave it. They're not bad. But the main card, oh, this is the best card we've had this year so far, okay? This is a legit UFC card. If you're new to UFC and you've been watching only what we've had up to this point and you're a little disappointed, I'm telling you, this shit is going to make you a nice, crispy, clean fan, dude. You're going to skyrocket to the top and say, "Oh my God, I love this shit." This is the card that you need to watch. And if you're one of those filthy, rotten people out there who use illegal streams, I'm talking to you, Gregory. If you're one of those filthy, rotten people, this is one of those cards where you should definitely look into buying it. And if you're like, "I can't afford it, it's too much," I get it, dude. That's why you invite friends over. You use the fight prediction sheet to lure them in so that they have more fun. And then say, "Hey, guys, let's collectively jip in on this and we'll pay like $5 a piece." All right? Bryce Mitchell, John Silva. Why is this the most anticipated fight for me and for a lot of people out there? Well, there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of things to go over. I need to pull up my notes here because I have too many. I have too many notes, and we love notes at the DynamiteGizmo podcast. Not only at the podcast itself, but in life in general. If you're going to try to get shit done, take notes, dude. Make a to-do list. There's free apps all over the internet. And by the way, before we get into John Mitchell and Bryce, I did it again. I keep saying John Mitchell. In a couple episodes ago, maybe 4 episodes ago, I was talking about Bryce Mitchell and John Silva, and I kept calling John Silva John Mitchell. I'm not making that mistake again. But before we get into that, what was I going to say? Ah, shit, I had something good to say. Oh, yeah. Subscribe. You should subscribe to me right now. And not because I just want you to, but because I'm putting out a video essay on the Fighting Nerds. And I've been working on this for the past couple months, maybe more, and I'm now scrambling to get it fucking finished and out before at least Friday, at the latest, because I can't have it go out any later than that, because it needs to be out before UFC 314. I'm holding myself to a high standard. I will get it out. I've been mentioning it in the last few episodes, so subscribe because I want you to see it. It's nice. It's going to turn out good, okay? But let's talk about Bryce Mitchell and John Silva, all right? I love the Fighting Nerds, as does everybody. They're undefeated. They're great. They have a bunch of aura, yada, yada. But honestly, fuck John Silva, dude. Fuck John Silva. When it comes to this matchup, fuck him. I don't want him. Get him out of here. I don't want him to win. I don't care. I don't give a shit. If it was any other matchup, I would be all for John Silva. If it was any other matchup, but because of the fact that it is Bryce Mitchell, I want Bryce to win more than anyone else on this card. I want Bryce to win more than Paddy. I want Bryce to win more than Volk or Diego or Pitbull or any of those motherfuckers. If I could have just one win on this card, it would be Bryce Mitchell. Okay? Now, for those who don't know, I'm going to give you a rundown of the situation and why this is so exciting and why it's so thrilling and why I care so much about this. Okay? So before... even just last month, but before last month, Bryce Mitchell was always a kooky character. He believed in conspiracy theories and whatnot, and very hardcore religious, but he was always beloved in the UFC world. For the fans and for the folk who follow UFC, Bryce Mitchell was a very beloved character. Everybody knew that he was crazy, or at least he was perceived as crazy, and liked conspiracy theories and believes the earth is flat and all this stuff. But it was all overlooked because he was just a genuinely good guy. He's a farmer. He's just trying to live his life. Raise chickens, give eggs out for free, you know? Preach the word of God. There's nothing wrong with that. We loved him. Okay? And when the custom shorts were first being introduced, Bryce Mitchell was one of the first people, he might have even been the first people, to get custom shorts. I think he was the first person to get custom shorts. And he hasn't even had a title match up yet. He hasn't had a title match. As it sits nowadays, and the custom shorts are literally only about a year into the making, it's only people who have title fights who get custom shorts. But Bryce Mitchell got his own custom shorts. Take a look at these. Okay? Bryce was the first, and he got fucking camouflage shorts. They're nice. Thug nasty, dude. Thug nasty. All right, so that just shows how much he was loved and how much of an icon he was. Because there is no one else who has those privileges. There's no one else, unless you're fighting for the belt, you're not getting custom shorts. I don't think... So maybe there might have been... Well, I guess Paddy has custom shorts, but he was still after Bryce Mitchell. Okay? So Bryce was beloved. Loved. Everybody loved him. And just last month, if you haven't seen it, he decided he's going to start his own podcast. Great! The Bryce Mitchell podcast. He called it Arc Insanity. And immediately, the first episode was released, and within minutes of it being posted, the UFC community exploded on Bryce Mitchell for what he said in the podcast. He went from one of the most kind-hearted souls, the most beloved souls in the UFC roster, to the most hated person that the UFC had to offer. And it was because of this here. Now, I couldn't actually find the actual podcast episode because I believe it was taken down. So this is a clip that someone else posted, and it's their commentary over it or something.
I really don't think that he was, because I honestly think that Hitler was a good guy based upon my own research, not my public education indoctrination. I really do think before Hitler got on meth, he was a guy to go fishing with.
All right, so I definitely...
Yeah, so that's just a little taste. There was a lot more that he said within that first episode of the podcast. If you know me, you know I'm a fan of podcasts already. I've been a fan of podcasts before I was even a fan of UFC. So when I see that nowadays that a fighter gets a podcast, I'm like, okay, I'm in. So I watched this episode like almost immediately as it came out, before shit even hit the fan. And then when it got to this part and I heard that, what I was thinking was, well, this is kind of expected behavior from Bryce, but it's fucking crazy that he's saying this shit right now. But I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think like it was going to be as big of a deal as it was. Because when you listen to the whole episode in context, you can understand what the fuck it is that he's trying to say. You know, he says like, okay, I think Hitler was a good guy, yada, 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 before he was on meth. blah, blah, blah. But when that's taken out of context, you're like, oh my God, he was an advocate for World War II. He was an advocate for the slaughtering of Jews. No, that's not what it was. Still crazy to say, but it's not that wacky. Like, it's wacky, but it's not as bad as everyone made it out to be. But it didn't matter, because that's what happens in this society nowadays. It's not nearly as bad as it was. If this happened like in 2015, 2016, 2017, if that happened then, Bryce would be done. That'd be it. There'd be no more Bryce. Well, maybe it's different because in the UFC, and that's the good thing about UFC, is when people do crazy shit, people say crazy shit, they don't get cut. Because Dana White is such a solid fucking dude, and he's like, it's free speech, motherfucker. I'm not going to cut Bryce Mitchell. He's a fucking idiot. And I fucking think he's the dumbest person I've ever seen, which he actually said. But I'm not going to cut him because he said something. You're allowed to speak. You're allowed to speak. What do I got here? I think I have another clip. Yeah, this is the clip of Dana. Okay, so after this episode was released, once everyone was freaking out, Dana had had just finished a slap fight fucking or a power slap event, and he was doing the post-fight or post-slap press conference, and people were asking him about it, and this is what he had to say.
This business. For all of you that hate Bryce Mitchell, you get to see him hopefully get his ass whooped on global television. I mean, what do you want me to say about it? You know where I am with free speech. We're disgusted by it. I think he's probably one of the dumbest, literally one of the dumbest human beings. Let's not forget that this is a guy who took a drill through his nutsack, then had to reverse it and put the drill back out of his. That's the level of stupid that we're talking about here. And I could probably go on for 10 minutes talking about how dumb Bryce Mitchell is. But guess what? Bryce Mitchell has a podcast.
I believe this was episode 1.
What a way to start. But that's the world that we live in now. Dumb people who are really stupid and really ignorant, can have a voice. We don't have to agree with it. We don't have to like it. I'm giving you mine and the UFC's position on what he had to say. And this is no different than things that I've said about Strickland, But I will say this. Out of all the dumb, ignorant shit I've heard in my life, this has to be the dumbest and most ignorant.
Last thing from me.
It's nothing new for Dana White. He speaks his mind. And on the Media Day interview that was uploaded or streamed today, people asked Bryce about this statement that Dana White's had to say. And Bryce was like, it's totally cool. I still have love for the UFC. I still have love for Dana. He doesn't like what I said. That's fine. And you know what? I love that. I think that's fantastic. And I'm sure they're still on good terms. It's just Dana just thinks he's a dumbass. And that's fine. And you know what? Everybody needs to learn from this whole situation. Bryce said some dumb shit. Dana didn't like it. But who cares, man? You're not going to cut him. He didn't do anything to actually deserve to get cut. So that happened. That was about a month ago. Almost exactly a month ago. Okay, so at that point of that press conference that Dana was just at, there was no fight booked. There was no fight booked for Bryce. It was still just up in the air. But he was the most talked about thing at that time. Everybody, I'm talking about specifically in the MMA space, no one would shut up about Bryce. Okay, everyone was like, what I can't believe he said this, yada, yada, blah. He was all over MMA news. It was nothing but Bryce. Okay, now about at this same time, fuck off with these. Jean Silva had just fought, I don't know how to say his name, Baghdad Sarian. Baghdasaryan, Melsik. But not only did he fight him, he annihilated him, and he did it the Jean Silva way, where he's over the top, lovable, in the octagon, helping guys up, dapping him up, and then he just fucking slammed him, knocked him out, came down with some punches, and then aura farmed. Okay? So at the time, Bryce Mitchell was going viral because of this negative Hitler shit. Jean Silva was going viral for being like a dominant force in the UFC. We've seen John Silva uprise. We've seen him come up. We've been seeing him do good things. But this was that fight that really put him over the edge to really make him well known. So this Jean Silva fight happened at the exact same time that Bryce was in his negative downfall. So they hit. They hit at the same time. Okay? The spotlight was already on the fighting nerds in general. People were starting to know about the fighting nerds. All of them. Okay? They all got fucking what's that company called that makes t-shirts and stuff? Full Violence. They have a Full Violence line. So what do we got? And they're both. So now we've got Jean Silva in the spotlight, and we've got Bryce Mitchell in the spotlight. Jean Silva's wanting to get into the ranks. Bryce Mitchell is in the ranks, but he's not too high. Okay? And everybody's hating on Bryce Mitchell, and they want to see him get knocked the fuck out. That's the good thing about UFC. Now we've just had this Jean Silva guy fucking dominating. Okay, this is the perfect matchup. You guys want to see Bryce get knocked the fuck out? Well, here's the guy. This guy's next in line for ranking anyway. So there was just talks about it. People were just talking about it in the space, in the MMA space, on X and stuff. People were like, "Oh, John should fucking go against Bryce. That should be the next fight." Everyone was talking about it. And guess what? Like, if I remember correctly, it was almost immediately after it actually happened. It got confirmed. And it got confirmed to the point where when I saw the news that it got confirmed, it happened so fast that I was like, this is not real. I'm being pranked right now. There's no way that this actually, and it was real, and it happened. Okay? So basically, like I said, if Jean wins, it'll move him straight upward in the ranks, also keeping the fighting nerds collectively at 0. They have a collective record in the UFC of 0 losses, what I should say, not fights. But if Bryce Mitchell wins, that's his redemption arc. Okay? Bryce needs this win, not only to keep his spot in the rankings, but also to be in the good graces of the MMA community. He needs to be that beloved character again. And you might be saying, well, why would anyone forgive him? He said a bunch of crazy shit. Well, if you're anyone else who doesn't have an open mind and doesn't see that Bryce Mitchell is just a good person and a good character, you can go watch the initial UFC 314 press conference. So the day before the UFC 313 press conference last month, they had an initial press conference for this fight, for 314. And basically, Jean Silva and Bryce Mitchell were the highlight of the night. Okay? Because remember, we got all this build-up that I just mentioned, and now they're at a press conference for a fight that's going to happen a month from now. They usually have the press conferences a couple days before the fight. Like, we're going to have one tomorrow for 314 again. But we had one before 313. Okay? So going into that initial press conference, everyone's booing Bryce Mitchell the second his name is mentioned. boo, boo, boo. Because this is, again, still basically immediately after the shit that he said on his podcast. So as soon as Bryce Mitchell's name is mentioned, he's getting booed. And Bryce is trying to recite some phrases from the Bible. But Jean Silva brought a globe to make fun of the fact that he's a flat earther. And he's interrupting Bryce Mitchell the whole time. He's being very loud, aggressive. He's barking. He's doing his barking thing. And telling Bryce Mitchell to fuck off. He's saying, fuck Bryce Mitchell, over and over again. So going into this, you're thinking Bryce is the bad guy, Jean is the good guy. But after that press conference, now the tables have turned. Now, Jean Silva is the bad guy because he's being cocky, annoying, and way too over-the-top aggressive. Because the fame is starting to go to his head. Like I said, he's starting to rise up. He's starting to become well-known. But now the fame's going to his head. It's going to his head. And he's getting way too cocky. And because he portrayed himself that way on stage, and Bryce stayed calm, cool, and collected, now the roles immediately flipped again. All right? They were that way to begin with. Then Bryce was hated. Now he's liked again. It's crazy, the quick changes we've been having. All right? So we'll just watch a clip from that initial press conference because it's an iconic moment, and I think it's going to go down as one of those iconic press conferences, like one of the Conor McGregor ones or whatnot.
And last thing I just wanted to ask Bryce Mitchell quickly. Bryce, this has been it's been a tough couple of months, I would say. Obviously, we're not used to hearing boos for you. There's been some controversy, I guess. Kind of your first public appearance, I just want to ask how important it is for you to be back to what you do best, and maybe with an open mic, is there anything that you want to address to the crowd today?
And Jesus said,
hey,
remember,
fuck Bryce
if the
Mitchell.
world hates
Fuck
you,
Bryce Mitchell.
they've hated
Fuck
me
Bryce
first.
Mitchell. Fuck Bryce
Is this servant greater
Fuck
than
Bryce
his master?
Mitchell. Fuck Bryce Mitchell. Fuck Bryce Mitchell. Fuck Bryce Mitchell. Hey, brother. Fuck Bryce Mitchell.
I'll start with you.
You barking up the wrong tree, motherfucker.
That moment right there, dude.
Hey, Bryce Mitchell. Look, Bryce Mitchell. Please.
Jose, go ahead, my man. What do you have?
Okay. There's more, but it kind of goes the same way as this. So you can see why Jean Silva's now the hated one. That was an annoying little cocky fuck right there. So basically that's kind of like we're at the point we're at now. And we've been seeing Bryce Mitchell. You know, he puts out videos now and then, but it's always about Jesus. And he's saying he's having nightmares about demons, saying that John Silva's a demon. And John Silva is known as the Lord. That's his nickname. He's got Lord on his tattooed on his chest. So it's such a crazy fucking dynamic that we got here. It was already good versus evil, but the fact that Bryce is so religious and he's saying John Silva is a demon and John Silva is referred to as the Lord, it's just all this shit is just fucking piled up. It's crazy. This is crazy. All this stuff. It's like we're in a simulation or something. It's like this isn't real. It's like this was all orchestrated. Like, if this was the WWE, you'd be like, oh, this is for sure scripted. There's no way this isn't scripted. But it's not. This is one of those iconic moments where it's like, oh my God, how is this not scripted? So that's why I genuinely want Bryce to win. I need Bryce to win. I need him to win. Because he has to get that redemption. If Bryce wins, the place is going to explode. And if he wins by knockout, I'm sure he's probably going to win by submission. But if he wins by knockout, it's going to be so much crazier. So there's also other aspects to think about it. Is like when it comes to actually like fighting, like how is it going to play out? How is it actually going to play out? All right? I was going to talk about the demon stuff, but really we don't really have to touch on that. I just wanted to give a brief summary of what's been happening up to this point. And now we kind of know. So we're gonna break down Bryce Mitchell and Jean Silva, and then we're gonna talk about the possibilities of what could happen. Okay? So when you look at Bryce Mitchell, he's got 8 wins, 2 losses in the UFC. His only 2 losses in the UFC were to Josh Emmett and Ilia Topuria. All right? So Josh Emmett is the hardest hitting 145er in the division. Unlike Jeremy Stevens, Josh Emmett smokes guys. He did lose this last weekend on the fight night to Lerone Murphy. But when he does connect with people, he hits. He hits hard. And when I do have the clip, oh yeah, I'll show the clip in a bit of Bryce Mitchell getting knocked out by Josh Emmett because it's one of, if not the most brutal knockout in UFC history. And then, of course, his other loss was to Ilia Topuria, who's the former featherweight champ who vacated it. And now Diego and Volk are fighting for that on the same card. So if you're going to lose to 2 guys in a division, these would be the guys to lose to because they're dominant fucking forces. Okay, back to Bryce Mitchell. The majority of his wins in the UFC are by decision. But in terms of like overall, he's got more wins by submission than anything else because he's known for his jiu-jitsu. All right? I was going to say he's known for his Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but today during the media day when asked about his jiu-jitsu, the journalist, or whatever you call them, asked him, are you going to use your Brazilian jiu-jitsu on John Silva? And he said, I'm going to use my American jiu-jitsu. He doesn't want to say Brazilian, which is fine, whatever, dude. But you can say he's stupid, you can say he's whatever. Whether or not you like Bryce Mitchell, you got to admit his jiu-jitsu is good. And there's even a video clip, which I have here, of him demonstrating his iconic twister move. I think this is the twister. Yeah, it says it in the title. But he's demonstrating it to a class of students or whatever. But also, Eddie Bravo was there. And I'm pretty sure they're at 10th Planet right now. But he's demonstrating this to Eddie Bravo. And Eddie Bravo is not only impressed, but he's surprised. And he's like, I never even would have thought of this myself. So let's check this out.
Okay, now we're in a fight. And I pull it tighter. And I'm hitting him. What are you gonna do? You can't sit there and block wherever you're gonna go unconscious. What are you gonna do with that left hand? What do you need back? You need your right. What? I would have never figured that out.
You're opening it up.
Huh? Pretty good, right? Pretty good. He's showing Eddie Bravo stuff. You would thought Eddie Bravo knows everything. And that's one of the other crazy things I notice about, I guess, mixed martial arts in general, not just jiu-jitsu, is people are still discovering things. There's still things that can be done where people are like, I never would have thought of that. I didn't even know you could do that. And it's like, how is that not? It's crazy because I don't do it myself, but I guess there's shit that you can just constantly learn, which is cool. Back to Bryce Mitchell. Okay, so Bryce Mitchell, before he was in the UFC, he was the V3 featherweight champ, defended the title once before moving up to another organization. He has received Performance of the Night and Fight of the Night bonuses, multiple. Currently, as it sits, he is on a one-fight win streak, coming off a win against Kron Gracie. Now, as we know, the Gracies are iconic members. It's an iconic name in the world of combat sports. You hear the name Gracie, you're like, these guys are unstoppable. When it comes to Kron Gracie, not so much, but that's a whole nother discussion. Either way, it's a win, and it's a win over a Gracie. But let's check out that brutal-ass fucking knockout from Josh Emmett. I couldn't find like an actual clip of the fight other than a Chinese version of the pay-per-view. So, but you don't have to hear what they're saying. You just got to see what's going on. Okay, so like it goes on for another little while. Like it takes him a bit for him to recover from that. And it was honestly kind of scary. Now that I think about it, there was more scary fights, knockouts, I should say. But that one was one of the more recent ones. Okay, now we'll move on to Jean Silva. Jean Silva has 4 wins, 0 losses in the UFC. He's fairly new, but he's dominating. He's one of the 4 male fighting nerds in the UFC. There's about 48 or so fighting nerds in total at the Fighting Nerds Combat Club in Sao Paulo. But when it comes to the UFC, there's only 4 of them that are male. And then there's 1 female in the UFC who's a fighting nerd. Jean Silva won the Dana White Contender Series, followed up by winning his next 4 fights within 1 year. Every one of his wins were by TKO or KO, receiving back-to-back Performance of the Night and Fight of the Night bonuses. He's dominating, dude. He's dominating. He's on a 12-fight MMA win streak. 80% of his wins are by KO or TKO, with only 2 wins by submission and 1 by decision. Okay, so that's an important factor to consider there. He's a knockout artist. Okay? And when we listen to these other guys talk about Jean Silva in training camps and whatnot, he's not that great on the ground. He can do it. Of course he can do it. They're in the UFC. Of course they can do it. But I think Bryce is really going to have that one up on Jean Silva when it comes to the octagon, and he's for sure going to utilize that. And I think that's really going to throw Jean Silva for a loop. And I think that is going to be how Bryce Mitchell wins. It's hard to predict anything. It's hard to say how anything's going to go in the UFC. For the most part, there is the odd one where it's like this is guaranteed to go one way. There's no doubt in my mind. This is one of those matchups where it could go either way. But I want Bryce to win no matter what, and I'm going to vote for Bryce, and I am going to believe that Bryce is going to win. And if he doesn't win, this will be one that I will be very upset about. Will we see Bryce submit Jean Silva and give him and the Fighting Nerds their first loss in the UFC? Or is Jean going to knock Bryce into another dimension worse than Josh Emmett? Because it could happen. All right, not saying he's going to fucking knock him out as cold as Josh did. But if he gets knocked out, Bryce is going to have to crawl back. He's going to have to crawl back into not only the rankings, but I mean, it's not going to knock him completely out of the rankings, but he just needs this win to get back into the spotlight, to be beloved once again. And I'm confident that's going to happen. Okay, we're going to move on to Diego Lopes versus Alexander Volkanovski. Fantastic fantastic matchup. All right? There's some shit I have to say about this. Okay. So if you don't know, they're fighting for the vacated featherweight title. Ilia Topuria had the featherweight title, won it, took it from Alexander Volkanovski, went on to defend it against Max Holloway, and vacated it and moved up to lightweight. So now it's a vacated belt, and Diego is stepping up to the plate against Alex, who could potentially get it back. Now, at the beginning of this year, 2025, I made my predictions of who I thought would claim the title in 2025. Now, my one name that I said that I was unsure about, that I said it might not even get to that point, but I wanted it to happen more than anything, was Diego Lopes. I predicted at the beginning of this year that Diego Lopes would have the featherweight title. Now, at the time of my prediction, Ilia was the champ, and there was not even an inkling or even talks of him vacating it. So in my head, I thought even if Diego had a chance to go against Ilia for that title, there's a chance he's not going to get it because Ilia's quite good. But little did I know that Ilia was going to vacate that title and Diego was going to go up against Alex Volkanovski for the vacated title. So I have to stick to my guns here because I predicted that Diego Lopes was going to get the title. Now, I love Volkanovski, but I need to stick to my word because I said Diego was going to get it. It might not be this year, but at the minimum, it'll be next year. And look how fast it happened, and look how it's happening. I just want to show you this clip, just so you know that I'm telling the truth here. The rest of the year. Featherweight. I seriously think Diego Lopes is going to take the belt this year. As crazy as that sounds, Max Holloway's not getting it. But I think Diego Lopes, he's on the rise right. He's the next guy. If he doesn't get it in 2025, I could see him getting him at least, at the latest, in 2026. Lightweight, Islam's going to... I said more about it, but this is just a clip of it. So... Of course I would like to see Volkanovski get that title back. Of course I would. And if it wasn't for the fact that I said Diego was going to fight for the title and get the title this year, I would have been going for Volkanovski. I seriously would have, because most people are. But I can't. I'm not going to. I'm sticking to my word. I'm sticking to my guns. And I'm going to say that Diego Lopes is going to get the belt. I gave my reasoning, and that should be valid and understood. Okay? Volkanovski had his time, and his time was fucking dominant. Volk is unbelievably good. Unfucking-believably good. Okay? But he is getting older. And he doesn't have that drive. He doesn't have that hunger anymore. But he has the... God damn it, does he have the experience. Which is a huge up against Diego. But Diego is young, hungry, and has beautiful hair. Which is a huge factor to play into this. Okay? And Diego can do it. He's totally capable of doing it. I will be satisfied either way, but I want Diego to win. This is one of those ones where they're both great guys. There's no beef between the two of them. It'd be great if either one of them won. Okay, Alexander Volkanovski. Let's run down Alexander Volkanovski. Volkanovski has 13 wins and 3 losses in the UFC. He's had multiple Performance of the Night and Fight Night bonuses. He's won multiple championships outside of the UFC, including Rochambeau, Australian FC, Wollongong Wars. Before losing to Islam, he was on a 12-fight win streak in the UFC. 12-fight win streak. And a 22-fight win streak overall in MMA. Unbelievable, dude. 50% of his wins are by KO or TKO. He was the number 1 MMA fighter of the year in 2022. Currently number 1 ranked featherweight in the UFC. After fighting Diego this weekend, he will have fought 10 consecutive title matches in a row. He won the belt in 2019 against Max Holloway, went on to defend the belt 2 more times against Max on 2 separate occasions, not back-to-back. So he won the title against Max, defended against Max twice more, won. He also won against Brian Ortega and Chan Sung Jung. At that point, he thought he had proven himself, and he moved up to lightweight to become a 2-division champ. But unfortunately, he could not get past Islam and lost. So then he went back down to featherweight to unify the featherweight title, which the interim title was claimed by Yair Rodriguez, who was also fighting on this card tonight. Fucking crazy. And he won it against Yair, so he got the featherweight title back. Okay? Now he got the featherweight title back, so then he's like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go back up to lightweight again. And he tried to reclaim the lightweight title once again, but again, unsuccessfully accomplished his goal, losing to Islam for the second time. So then he's like, okay, I guess I'll go back to featherweight and continue to defend the featherweight title. He went back to featherweight, and Ilya stepped up to the plate, rocked him, took the featherweight title. Ilya defended the title a couple times, vacated it. Now here Alex Volkanovski is back at the plate, ready to step up and knock it out of the park again. Can he do it? I don't know. And like I said, I'd be happy either way, but I'm going for Diego Lopes. Now let's look at Diego, shall we? Diego Lopes has 5 wins, 1 loss in the UFC. Currently, he's on a 5-fight win streak. Lost his debut fight to Movsar Evelev in the UFC. Other than that, he has not lost. But during that fight that he lost to Movsar, he did receive a Fight of the Night bonus, and then received 2 Performance of the Night bonuses back-to-back. He has won the LFL Featherweight Championship and defended that title twice. He's won the JFL Featherweight Championship. He's won the XFL Featherweight Championship. He's had 12 wins by submission, 10 wins by KO or TKO. Last year, if you remember, you might not, on UFC 303, he had a 4-hour notice opponent change. He was originally supposed to fight, I believe it was maybe Brian Ortega, but then he couldn't fight. So Dan Ige stepped up to the plate, and they had to fight at catchweight, and Diego still won. And that really shined a light on him after that. They already had a light on him, but this really escalated things because that was the talk of the night. He joined the UFC in May of 2023. Think about it. He joined in May of 2023, and he's already fighting for the title in April of 2025. Now, if we take a look at the rankings, okay, Diego Lopes right now is ranked number 3. Movsar Evloev is ranked number 4. And Movsar was Diego's debut fight in the UFC, and Movsar beat Diego Lopes. If Diego wins this title, there's a possibility that they will feed him to Movsar for his first title defense. Being that, like I said, Movsar was Diego's debut fight, and he beat him. Some would even say that Movsar is like the Shavkat of the featherweight division, the boogeyman that no one wants to go against because he's that good. So there's already that dichotomy. There's already that revenge sort of aspect to it between Diego and Movsar. Now, we don't even really have to talk about that until whether or not Diego wins. So I think that would be a good first matchup. But who knows? They might give him Max Holloway, seeing that Max could not win against Volk or Ilya. But imagine if Volk wins the title. If Volk wins the title, then what are they going to do? Put Max up again for the 4th time? I don't know, dude. I think for Max, the only way Max has a chance at that title is if Diego wins. Because they could be like, okay, now we can put Max up against Diego. But if Volk wins, what are they going to do? Put Max up for a fourth time against Volk? I don't know, dude. I don't know. Now, we're already 52 minutes into this. I'm going to quickly touch on Chandler versus Pimblett and maybe Rodriguez and Pitbull. I'm just going to run through this quick. Okay, so Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. They both love each other. They don't hate each other. They're great guys. Both great fighters. Although Chandler, I think, is more than likely going to get creamed by Paddy. He hasn't had really much of a dominant reign in the UFC. He has had a very entertaining reign. Very entertaining fighter, but not very good at winning. He kind of just goes in full force, aggressive, nonstop. But here's the thing. If Chandler does win, and I said this last episode, or even if he loses, they're going to give him the mic because they always do. And he's probably going to call out Conor McGregor again. And it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's a tale as old as time. As long as Chandler continues to fight in the UFC, he's going to continue to call out Conor McGregor. He might get to a point where he stops, but I think he's just going to continue to call him out. I think Paddy's going to cream him. If Chandler does win against Paddy, it's going to look real bad for Paddy. Paddy hasn't lost in the UFC yet. And I would love to see Paddy either fight for the title or get the title at some point. But that's all we'll talk about for that. We also got Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. Now, Patricio Pitbull is coming over from the PFL, which was claimed by, he was coming from Bellator, which was claimed by PFL. The dude was a fucking annihilator in Bellator. He had the title on and off multiple times, defended the title over and over and over again, like 5 times in a row at one point. One of those title defenses, or actually, I think Chandler had, because when Chandler was in Bellator, Chandler had the title, and then Pitbull came in and took it from Chandler. So we've got like all these guys that are fighting on the main card, they all have history with each other in some way. Yair Rodriguez had the interim title, but Volk took it back from him. Pitbull fought against Chandler in a different organization, taking the belt from him. whatever. The other shit that I talked about. Who cares, dude? I just want to quickly finish off Pitbull here. Yada yada yada. He felt. Oh yeah. So Pitbull had the belt in Bellator, but he was waiting for a match. He's been waiting for a match in Bellator ever since PFL acquired them since March of 2024. He was left with no answers. He still had fights on his contract, but nothing was happening. And he's getting older and he's getting closer to retirement. He wanted to fucking polish off some more fights. He had more fights in his contract, but PFL was treating him unfairly, and he was worrying. So he announced on Ariel's show that he wants to come into the UFC, and moments later, it happened. And then it got announced that it was going to be on this card. So this is another fucking banger of a matchup. Every single matchup on this fucking card is awesome. Every single one. Okay. I'm going to jump into my fight predictions now. Okay, so let's jump over to the screen here. I'm so fucking hungry, too. I'm so fucking bored with you. I have to create some shit. Watch me create some circles, shall we? We need some circles. I like Jewish prostitutes. How about you? I like Jewish prostitutes. I like Jewish prostitutes. How about you? I like Jewish prostitutes. Oops. I don't want it to be stroked. Don't stroke. Okay, we're going to go copy, paste. Where'd it go? Oh, it's right there. I like Jewish prostitutes. I like Jewish prostitutes. What are these little circles, you say? Well, they're used to vote. This is what I use to vote. I put a little circle over the vote option so you know what I picked. Huh? I should have done this already, but I had a lot of shit to do, including get my video essay up and ready to go, because it needs to be up hopefully tonight. That'd be great. Okay, let's run through these quick. Okay, I gotta pull up because I already have my predictions made. Okay, here we go. So, cock in the shitter, fucking a tit, vagina. Okay, yeah, we're good. Fuck, dude, I should have prepared. Don't mind me, I'm just messing around with some settings here. Don't mind me. Here we go. Okay, that's nice. Okay. All right, we're ready. First fight of the night, we've got two lovely ladies. Can you see that? Can you see that, lovely ladies? Nora Cornall versus Haley Cowan. All right. Nora is 8-2-0. She has 2 wins and 1 loss in the UFC. Her counterpart has 0 wins and 1 loss in the UFC. This girl, she won the Contender Series in August of 2022. She was supposed to have 4 fights between February 2023 and May of 2025, and every single one of them was canceled. But the one fight that wasn't canceled, she lost. So because of this reason, I'm voting for this chick. We're moving on to the next fight. We've got Teresian Gore, also known as Mr. Vicious, versus Matuto. Marco Tulio. Gore, 2 wins, 2 losses in the UFC. He's had a performance of the night bonus. Lost to Brian Battle and Cody Brundage. Both decent guys. He's currently on a 2-fight win streak. Marco, he has 1 win, 0 losses in the UFC. But overall, he's currently on a 9-fight MMA win streak. I'm going to go for Matutu on this one. Next up, who do we got? This Chinese fella, his name is Sumu Daerji. Okay? He's one of those Chinese guys that only has one name. No last name, no first name, just a name. Versus Mitch Raposo. The Tibetan Eagle is 3 wins, 4 losses in the UFC. He's had a performance of the night and fight of the night bonus. Currently on a 3-fight losing streak. Mitch, on the other hand, 0 wins, 1 loss in the UFC. He hadn't defended the Cage Titans amateur belt, the Ammo Fight League amateur belt, a CES belt, and had the Cage Titans pro belt. So if we look at this, the accolades are a little more in favor of this motherfucker. So I'm going to go for Raposo. Next up, we've got Saraquis Dumas versus Michael Olek Sedge. Don't know how to say your name, dude. Get a better name. How about that? Dumas, 3 wins, 2 losses in the UFC. He's on a 1-fight win streak. He does have a win over Cody Brundage, unlike Mr. Vicious over here. And he's had and defended multiple amateur belts. Okay? Now, Michael, or what is that his name, Michael? Yeah, Mike Al. 7 wins, 7 losses in the UFC. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, which is okay. Now, he has a win over Cody Brundage, unlike the Reaper. But I should say, this guy's 3-fight losing streak comes from Shara Magomedov, Kevin Holland, and Michelle Pereira. 2 fucking dominant fighters in the middleweight division. So, you kind of give them the, what's the term? Benefit of the doubt. Okay, he's been in the UFC since 2017. He's won multiple Performance of the Night and Fight of the Night bonuses, and he is a 3-time title. He's a 3-time defense. He's defended the. I'm gonna fucking shit. He's defended the title 3 times. Not the UFC title, the Thunderstruck Fight League belt. He's defended it 3 times. I wrote it so weird on my notes. Didn't turn out. So I'm voting for the fucking Allah Sika Chicka Ticket guy. Okay? We're moving on. Darren Elkins versus Julian Erosa. Okay? Look at him. He calls himself the Damage. It's because his eyes are wonky. He's damaged himself. He's 19-10-0 in the UFC. He's on a 2-fight win streak. He's 40 years old. Multiple performance and fight of the night bonuses. He's been in the UFC since 2010. He's a veteran, as they would say. And he's fighting against Julian Erosa, who is 8-7-0 in the UFC. He's on a 2-fight win streak, the same as the Damage. He's 35 years old. He's 5 years younger. 1 performance of the night and 1 fight of the night. He's won the Cage Sport title multiple times. I think I'm going to go for him just because he's slightly younger. He is the favorite as well. But who knows on this one. Next up, this one I'm looking forward to as well. Chase Hooper has been dominating so far. He just retired Gueda, and he might retire Miller as well. They're feeding him all the old fuckers, and he looks like a kid, but he's beating them. So Jim Miller is the definition of a UFC OG. He's been in the game forever. All right? And he's known for the fact that he's been on UFC 100, 200, and 300, okay? His record in the UFC is 27 wins, 17 losses. And that's not to say his overall record is 38 wins, 18 losses. Pretty crazy. Currently, he's on a one-fight win streak. He's 41 years old. Multiple performance of the night and fight of the night bonuses. He's had a few other belts in different organizations, but he's never, ever had or even fought for the UFC title, which is so crazy to me. So Chase Hooper, 7-3-0 in the UFC. Currently, he's on a 2-fight win streak. He's only 25 years old, but he looks like he's fucking 13. And he's on a veteran killing spree. So, and he's had multiple belts in other organizations, but I think he's going to, unfortunately, end Jim Miller. And this might be Jim Miller's retirement. Who knows? Next up, we got another wonky-eyed victim. But it's two females this time. So, Yan Xiaonan. Don't know how to say it. She's against Verna Jandiroba, okay? Classic. This girl's she's doing good stuff, okay? The Asian woman, she's 9-3-0 in the UFC. She's on a one-fight win streak. She's had a performance of the night bonus. Her counterpart is 7-3-0, so they have a pretty close record in the UFC. She's a fucking submission artist. She can tangle you up into twister without you even blinking an eye. She's on a 4-fight win streak, 2 performance of the night bonuses. She's had other belts in other organizations. She's number 3 ranked. This girl is number 1 ranked, but I'm going for the Brazilian. Next up, we've got Dan Ige, who fought against Diego Lopes on 4 hours' notice, as we said, against Sean Woodson. Sean Woodson has the body of a stick figure. Danny Gay, 10-8-0 in the UFC. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. He lost to Diego Lopes on a 4 hours notice. 3 performance of the night bonus. And he's had other belts in other organizations. Sean Woodson, 7-1-1 in the UFC. And he's on a 6-fight win streak. He's not ranked. Danny Gay is. But I think the sniper's going to... I think he's going to take out Danny Gay. I would actually prefer it if Dan Ige won, but I think Sean Woodson's going to win. Now we're on the main card. Fucking banger after banger after banger. Nikita Krylov versus Dominic Reyes. Some would say that Dominic Reyes should have won the title against John Jones, but it never happened. John won by decision. Anyway, Krylov, 11-7-0 in the UFC. He's on a 3-fight win streak. And he has a win over Alexander Gustafsson, which is pretty fucking awesome. He's had the AMC belt, and he's had another organization belt. Dominic Reyes, 8-4-0 in the UFC. He's on a 2-fight win streak. 2 of those wins were to Anthony Smith and Dustin Jacoby. 2 performance of the nights, 1 fight of the night bonus. For this one, I think Krylov's going to take it, the Ukrainian boy. Now, we already know about Bryce and Lord Silva. I don't need to go over their accolades because we already did, and you know I'm going for Bryce. Okay, Yair, Patricio, Pitbull. Yair is 10-4-0 in the UFC, 32 years old, 2-fight losing streak. He's had the interim title, lost it to Volkanovski. He's had many performance of the night and fight of the night bonuses. Patricio Pitbull, this is his UFC debut. His record in Bellator was 26-6-0. His overall fight record is 36-7-0. He's 37 years old, so he's getting up there in age. And like I said, he was a Bellator legend, fantastic fighter. I want him to win. I want him to win, but I'm voting for Yair. Okay, we'll see how that goes. Whoopsies. Co-main event. We already know. Chandler versus Paddy. Okay, Chandler is 2-4-0 in the UFC. God damn. He's 38 years old. 38 years old. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. But here's the kicker. 5 of his 6 fights in the UFC were either performance of the night or fight of the night. Like I said, he can entertain. And he's had the Bellator belt multiple times. Paddy is 6-0-0 in the UFC. He's undefeated. 4 of his 6 fights were performance of the night. He's also had the Cage Warriors belt and defended it on multiple occasions. I think Paddy's going to cream Iron Michael Chandler, and it won't be long before we see Paddy fight for the title. Is he going to get it because he's in lightweight? Who knows? It depends if Islam's still at the top. Main event, you already know. I'm going for Diego Lopes. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's everything. Well, there's still so much more I could have talked about for this card. But I don't like to keep the podcast too long. It's already an hour and 11 minutes. We don't need to go any longer than that. We don't need to go any longer than that, big boy. Big boy. So make sure to subscribe, like, comment, share the video, all that stuff. You crazy bastard. Because like I said, I have a video essay that I've been working really fucking hard on coming out hopefully tonight, if not tomorrow, and at the latest it'll be uploaded by Friday because I have no choice. It has to be uploaded. Whoops. And anyway, that's it. Bye. Oh shit.